You sure it'll be stable?
Let's do something called BBPC.
Stable cable. Oh, it's showing up on my YouTube.
That was my plan.
Yeah, it's showing up on my YouTube like now. Okay. Okay. Hi, welcome everybody.
You want to call this out?
Round one. Yeah, I'm calling this out to audience. Welcome to round one of BBPC 2017. Hey, hi. The motion's already out there. This believes that women should be taxed less than men, or something like that. Okay. House invites the Prime Minister to find motion stands in their name.
Here.
When the working day begins, women clock into a wage gap that is stagnant and refusing to move. They clock into lower managerial positions. They clock into lesser ability to pay for loans, for housing, for hygiene products. They clock into being second to men. We support women paying less taxes. What is our model? 3 parts. Firstly, we think where there are measurable taxes, like income taxes, property taxes, they will be subjected to paying 50% less of these taxes. We think there is a special quota that can be made within these taxes. Secondly, where there are less obvious taxes like the GST, so for example, if you go to a restaurant and you buy a meal and it's hard to measure how those breakdowns will be done, we think it's easier when they have these receipts and documentations and can go on to claim a reimbursement of these taxes much later on. We think finally, female hygiene products and services like education, when you go and pay for education, that too will be subjected to a reduction in the taxes that they pay. In principle, we think 50%, while it can be universal, it should also reasonably take into account the many varying circumstances that industries will respond to. As long as it's a significant reduction in it, we are principally in support of it. 2 arguments for my speech. Firstly, why it's principally justified that they be accorded this benefit, and secondly, how it improves the lives of women. No, thank you, Tanjavur. So, first argument, why is it justified? 2 parts. Number 1, women have significantly and historically faced a loss of opportunities. What do I mean by this? When you look at their entrance rates into education and universities, given the way gender roles have been constructed around many of these lives of women, we think even in the most liberal countries have sided to keeping fewer women out of universities, or even if they did enter into universities, less profitable degrees like nursing or psychology, and not to the more professional degrees, because there is a connotation that only men would be good in these degrees. This means subsequently, when they do graduate out, their ability to opt into jobs or make careers that are being profitable within the markets itself is one that does not side with them. But secondly, we also think that the types of opportunities they're subjected to in employment is one that significantly puts them in a lower position. What do I mean by this? When you opt into a job or when you go for an interview, you're less likely to be given a managerial position or one of an important leadership position because you're seen to not have the leadership qualities to be dominant. No, thank you. Or being able to lead a position without being emotional about it. We think these types of discrimination that have been subjected to women means that they should be allowed to be compensated for their lack of opportunities when they do enter into the workforce or when they go into education. The second thing, when you look at the way taxes work, when you pay a tax, you're supposed to be given the benefits in return of it in an equitable manner. We don't think this has been the case for women. Why? When you look at specific things that women undergo, like having to go through maternity leave or having to pay for healthcare when they undergo pregnancies, all of these things have not received significant attention or significant benefits from these individuals. A case in example, when you look at African American women that live in inner cities, the ability to access hospitals or the ability to be able to pay for their hospital bills is one that is opportunities that are not accorded to them. That's why we think a lot more women are unable to pay for their hospital bills or unable to go through the structures that are supposed to accord them these benefits. The fact that they have not been given the same amount of benefits that they deserve gives us a reason to believe that they should be given a tax break. The conclusion to this argument is that independent of any outcome, we think there's a principal justification that should be accorded to why they deserve this tax break, because taxes have not been equitable to them because of the loss of opportunities that were historically placed on them. I'll take one from closing if they have a POI. Go ahead.
If you think in principle women deserve more protection, then why don't you just tax men more?
We think in principle will also be in support of taxing men more if you want to be able to support that, because it also gives them more benefits to women. Yeah, why not? So how does this help women? We think there are 3 ways it helps women. So the premise of this argument is that when you face a tax break and you have a substantial amount of money back into your pockets, it will help you in 3 ways. Number 1, the wage gap. I think it's reasonable to say that there are many efforts that help bridge the wage gap, and we see this in the most progressive of companies, if not in the slightly less progressive companies. So what is the nuance here? If there are efforts to bridge the wage gap, there must also be efforts to take into consideration the fact that they've been historically locked out of the opportunity. So even if you wanted to bridge the wage gap now, there can be an accorded additional benefit to this tax break. So we think that when they do actually get this, it brings them significantly closer to being able to access opportunities or to being able to pay for loans that they did not previously have in benefit. We think, preemptively speaking, if there was a reason to say that now employers would not hire women into bigger positions or give them higher wages because they already receive the benefit of the tax break, we think there are two responses to this. I think firstly, it is not in the incentive of a company to immediately say that we will not give you more money because you have received a benefit out of this. Rather, it works into their favor to hire more women or to hire a woman that they are seen to be giving additional amounts of money because they seem to be helping these women to begin with. But I think even if they go ahead and not pay them more, because of the fact that the tax break does exist for them, even if they pay lower wages, they still have the additional benefit of making more money than they would have had comparatively in the world of opposition. The second problem this deals with is that it's easier for them to support themselves. Because if you look at the demographic of women, the circumstances that they face with, many African American women that are single mothers because many of their husbands are victims of mass rates of incarceration, means that they have to work 2 jobs and they don't have as much time to spend with their children. We think this changes now for them. Because when you have a tax break and you're given more money in return and not have to pay as much taxes, you may not need to take that second job. Because that 50% reduction means you have slightly more money to be able to cater to your child's education, and you have slightly more time that you can pay and that you can put into taking care of your children. We think that's especially important for them because the strain that they go through trying to make ends meet is something that we need to help bridge for these individuals. The third thing we actually do help them with is the economic opportunities that they face. Because currently, where women face structural barriers that prevent them from opening their own businesses or prevent them from taking risky opportunities like working with other women to open businesses, are now dealt with significantly on our side. Why do we think this is true? Because now when you open a business, a small business for yourself, you don't have to pay as much taxes. So you don't need a large amount of order to start your business with. Because immediately you don't need to take out as much money to pay the moment you have revenue coming in. And this means it's easier for them to hire other women into their businesses or to be able to branch out to different franchises and expand their businesses. This is particularly important for them to be able to franchise themselves as important economic agents within their families and within society. That allows them to make better decisions within their businesses, allows them to have more lobbying power when they do enter into unions because in return they've been able to make more capital for themselves. The conclusion to this argument is that we think the lives of women is substantially better where as mothers, as employees, and as individuals, we support them paying less taxes.
All right, thank you. Prime Minister, I'd like to invite the Leader of Opposition.
Oh, yeah.
Can you still see it?
Yeah.
They can change to that.
Ironically speaking, the reason why the wage gap is stagnant at 70 cents to $1 is because of the presumption that women are less part of our community, that they're less able to contribute, that they're indeed superior, that indeed men are superior to them. If this model passes through, we agree women have more financial autonomy. But whether that financial autonomy is worth the repercussions in society, we are going to disagree in the opening opposition. Because there are 2 fundamental presumptions I'm going to respond to in the government before I go through your application. Why we restructure state communities and individuals to treat women worse, or we disenfranchise women that are most economically disadvantaged. 2 premises. First, I will respond to the principle. The premise of their principal justification for this is that women require protection and therefore, in principle, they deserve this right. If the opposition can prove that protection is further away as a result of this model, we technically win this premise. But 2 things I'll say further than that. They say, hold on, women are victims of sexism, they don't get jobs, they don't get education, and subsequently, taxation also doesn't benefit them. This principle is not comparative to 2 things. First, it's not comparative to the alternative. In a world in which women pay less taxes to the state, they would get less back from the state infrastructure. You would have less women departments, you would have less pep smears, less healthcare to cater to women, because now all your model or the state infrastructure amount comes entirely from that. So I think that principle is not responsive to the comparative. But the second, they say, look, the impact of this is more financial reward for women. The premise of this argument is that financial rewards are able to empower women significantly. This is not responsive to two things. First, it's not responsive to what that money will no longer entail you to. First, it is less likely you're able to afford healthcare is now going to be less and less prevalent in government hospital. It is also less likely the financial amount of money will likely be able to start your business if people are more likely to boycott the business because you're not part of the community, you're not contributing back to the state. So sure, you have more financial capacity, but whether that leads you actually being able to fight more discrimination in the workplace, more hatred and opposition from your female from your male co-workers who feel like you're not contributing when I am working as hard as you, but I have to pay more taxes. We think money is less impactful if the circumstances around you are not favorable. I will further explore this in my argumentation. So these two premises in the opening government don't end this debate are highly uncomparative to what they are willing to trade up. Before I go to argumentation, yes.
On your assertion of boycott, if these products are cheaper thanks to the reduction in tax, won't people be incentivized to buy these products because it's the benefit
if
to them?
it's cheaper, women don't make an increased profit, you're responding to opening of government and suggest now they can take back more money. Obviously, the price will still be the same, but women are more likely to take back money. That's why the opening government's premise is that they're more likely to have income that is disposable. If they're going to have a discount, then you don't get benefits, right? No change in your model. First, we think you harm state-level distribution of resources. Look, the success of the feminist movement isn't measured by how many women you have on the top. It is measured by the number of women that are currently suffering in victimized positions because they're single mothers. They are more likely to be victims of rape, sexism as a result of the status quo. Your model significantly harms the way state redistributes taxes. The first thing I'll suggest is there are a vast majority of women that are wholly, if not almost entirely, dependent on state infrastructure. Free pep space in Malaysia, for example, or female-only schools that encourage more conservative women to enter into the system, or anti-discrimination laws are what the poorest of the poorest women depend on that are unable to access as a result of the model. The reason for this is twofold. In a world in which taxation comes more from men and doesn't come from women, parliamentarians, politicians, people on the top are more likely to suggest that indeed it's true that people who deserve taxation and deserve their money being put back into places are men. So you have a reduction in all the systems that they've suggested women needed in the status quo. But the second thing I'll suggest is it is easier to shut down female departments. So gender studies, social studies that women are more likely to be involved in are less likely to get state support because the presumption by the state now is women are less worthy as workers. They give less money back to the state. We might as well invest in departments where men are more predisposed to becoming part of the working class group. Because look, the state investment of infrastructure, investment into funds is wholly based on whether or not the state gets a return in investment. If the state doesn't get it, you don't get departments, you don't get healthcare, you don't get financial reward because they're not the main consumer base. They're actually, the state will lose more money. So we think on a comparative, even if it's true we have less money individually, we have infrastructures that are able to protect women, the women who are unemployed, the women at the bottom who actually don't even pay taxes in the status quo. Those women we see are the most important to protect. Second, the feminist movement. By God, this is the worst possible suggestion you can ever do in the face of the fight for feminism. Because look, the nuances of a gender pay gap, the principle of why women deserve reparations is lost by the common man who doesn't understand the differences in education. Most men assume that women are just less educated. Maybe they are more meant for the kitchen. If you tell them that they deserve these protections, the first attack you're going to receive is actually the feminist movement does privilege women. It doesn't want equality. It wants more women to be over men. The immediate reaction to this that we say is long-lasting is threefold. First, we think it will increase the immediate opposition to women. So it's not true that poor white Americans in the status quo that are the largest voter base right now, so like the Rust Belt Americans, are more likely to join your feminist organizations. They're less likely to be sympathetic to your causes and so pro-abortion campaigns or like Planned Parenthood, which you say are important, are less likely to receive protection than the status quo. But the second, you're going to lose a huge amount of moderate allies, men who work equal jobs to women, who in the status quo feel like they have a duty to protect their fellow women who's contributing to society, who's an equal member of our world, are less likely to join the movement. Because guess what? Women contribute less to the community. They actually are taking more money for their selfish individual needs. This means in that world, three things will happen. First, you have less policies for women that are in the status quo that are currently being pushed for. Things like the he for she campaign have been the most successful because they use men's voices to co-opt feminist ideals. You would lose their capacity in developing countries. Second, you would have less support for foundations that are wholly dependent on men allies. So the Abhinta Kabir Foundation in Bangladesh is wholeheartedly funded by conservative allies. You would lose that. But the last thing I'm going to talk about is individual impacts. We have three things to say about this. First, climbing up the corporate ladder is going to be significantly harder as a woman. If you are a company, as Dave suggested, there is an incentive to tax women and hire women, great. But in a world in which your woman is less likely to be able to contribute back to the state. And if there are two equal candidates, you are more likely to pick a man because you can pay him the same amount, but he will contribute more back to the state. And as a company, you've incentive for this because if the state has more money, it's more likely to give you tax base, it's more likely to give you infrastructure, the economy is more likely to be healthy. So as a company, you have an incentive to hire women less than you do to hire men as a result of their model. But second, like workplace interaction is likely to be worse. If you are a woman who's paying less taxes back to a community but doing the same job as a man, you are more likely to be a victim of discrimination, more likely to be a victim of sexual assault, unwanted advantage. And the worst case is no one is going to take your reporting seriously. Because guess what? If you say you deserve a place in our workplace, why are you paying less taxes? Why are you less a contributing member of our society? All these things suggest that on every level of this model, things become worse for women. You lose out on significant policy changes and you backtrack the current progress we have. We say this policy might give some money, but the harms that you accrue are not worth the few pennies that will be in your pocket.
Sorry.
Right, thank you, Leader of Opposition. I'd like to invite the Deputy Prime Minister.
In the world of opposition, all the benefits you get lie in the hands of benevolent men. That is the most piercing sign of inequality. That literally means women, we posit that women can be stronger on their own, and that's what we support today. My argumentation will be solely made on the restructuring of the way facilities work, politics, education, and also the politics in the workplace as well. Before that, I'd like to take out the speaker before me. The first premise that I don't think was sufficient to engage with us was to say that Parliament won't pass these laws or won't redistribute things better, therefore you won't get your benefits as women. I think this is false for two reasons. Firstly, I think we can still distribute the wealth and money that is accumulated collectively from men and women as well. Even though women have less tax to pay at this point, I don't think it's as significant enough to say that women will get absolutely no benefits at all. But even if that was true and you claim that the situations in these so only women's schools are so bad, then I don't think that your side actually does anything significant to solve these problems. Even if redistribution was harmed, what do we say about this? Two things. Firstly, I think our personal financing can go a very far and long way because it gives you more autonomy to access private facilities that you have never been able to access before. Meaning, let's say, I think the struggles that women go through are actually quite intersectional. Some women might need more healthcare than other necessities like education. So they could opt for a public education, but opt for private healthcare at the point that they do have the access money to spend anything to disprove this huge benefit that we do gain. But the second thing we do say about redistribution is the only way that women will ever get their lobbying power and support out there is if they have this policy out there to create discourse and political discussions to why on earth we need this principle in the first place. This was unresponsive as well to Dave's argumentation why this principle was so important. So you can sort of assume that Parliament will take into consideration the historical harms and oppressions that they have caused for women in the past. No thanks. The second argumentation that she brought up was about increased opposition. I assume this is like backlash, right? So I think that didn't really answer this because a lot of poor white women are also like beneficiaries of this system. So if you do claim that white people are oppressors of your system, I don't think that's true for most majority of reasons. Because they've told you that many of these instances that like women would co-opt these benefits with men as well. Meaning not all men would hate on them, but some men would rather join their fight because they see benefits to hiring them, to creating businesses with them because they have the access economy money that's available. But secondly, why must women benefit at any outcome from that is benevolent from a man? Because men always are screwed over women. If it's true that generally the structures that we have right now in status quo are so oppressive already, Amrit doesn't give you a counter model or anything to do that improves the situation as well. Sure, I guess like some men will get backlash, but this backlash literally means nothing if you have economic power and financial power to get yourself out of these circumstances. Before I move on to my issues, I'll reintegrate more responses. Sure.
So if women are in lower managerial positions, the income that you are going to give them in addition is going to be minimum. Can you tell me how you're suddenly going to afford them private healthcare and all the vacuums that you have created because states have become less supportive of women?
That's more possibility on our side. The more you're able to get yourself out of the struggle, the more you're able to afford better things that increases your wealth of happiness in your life, the more you're able to be in the right set of mindset or conditions to try out for these like high managerial positions of jobs as well. Like the comfort that's accessible to men are literally not as accessible for women. And if anything that we can afford on side opening government, it's that the access to comfort, to access a better life or happiness in your own way that you want to economically empower yourself. Restructuring. The first thing we do restructure is opportunities. How so? I think men can say whatever they want. We don't really care. As long as women have the money, that's more power and autonomy given to them in two ways. Firstly, they can live and gain independent opportunities on their own. I think they've talked about this, like investing in the stock market perhaps, or opening up your own business. But the second thing that they can do is core benefits with men as well. Because like firstly, it could be possibly cheaper to employ women, but secondly, I think more women will join industries because they know the benefits are out there for them. They will be taxed less and therefore have more money to keep from themselves. That was a huge deterrent in the past because they wouldn't have been able to keep the mass loads of money that they would have today in our model. What happens to the wages and rights of individuals? I think more labor unions will become stronger for women as a result of this, because more women are encouraged to join the workforce, therefore more lobbying power within these spaces to lobby for the rights and the wages increase for women as well. So the conclusion to this analysis is that you can lobby for more rights in numbers as a result of this, because you do encourage them to join. The second thing that does restructure, I think, is political pressure, because like your disposable income increases, therefore it makes it easier to collectivize and organize lobbying groups as well. So politicians can take you more seriously now if they have more things to consider, because you're not just a voting bloc anymore that is poor and like doesn't have access to anything. You are a functioning member of society that will spend money in the economy in the ways that you think are wise and true. That means that your demands are important to the government and to take them into considerations as well. This helps us deal with the discrimination and the sexual discrimination that does exist in Parliament that Amrit does suggest in speech, because they are more highly contentious and considered within the political sphere because they are a functional lobbying group and people. This also means that they have a lobbying stronger voice in our world. The next thing that does restructure is education. How? I think they are more encouraged to join skilled jobs. The context of this motion also strongly applies in developing countries where women are unencouraged to join these groups, right? What it means is that parents are now encouraged to send them to schools for a few reasons. Because now it's like to get a job is much more easier because there's more demand for women in the workforce. And I think like markets also restructure to accommodate more women entering the workforce as a result of this. The comparison that they have to deal with is that women and girls are told to stay home in their developing tier countries because they are told that they are not of use in the economic sense, but rather should stay home in the kitchen and all these derogatory stereotypes that they do. The only way that we can get them to change this mentality is if we give them economic benefits that are personal to them to do so. Why is state facilities insufficient? Because you don't really see the benefits of the state facilities that they do provide unless you are a direct beneficiary of them. But you can only be a direct beneficiary of them if you do believe in the rhetorics and you do believe that women are great. Currently, they don't, unfortunately, as well. What do we do in comparison that they have to deal with? The first thing is, I think the lives of women are bad in status quo, and that's no denying it, because they do concede this. The only way to make it better isn't really to like convince everyone that it's so great like overnight, because that's literally impossible. What we can do right now is afford them the rights and liberties that they should be afforded at this point.
Cool. Thank you, the Prime Minister. Now the end of the opening half, the Leader of Opposition.
It is very easy to say, for opening government to say that backlash is irrelevant and useless. But I've asked opening government to try and tell this to faces of women who are suffering every day. Because unfortunate as it is, the world is controlled by men. And it is horrible, it sucks. But in that world, when you make it worse for women by making men angrier and making it harder for women to access all the benefits that opening government wanted them to have, we think it make it worse for women. I'm going to ask a few questions in my speech. The first, Women, according to opening government, have faced a lot of oppression and a lot of problems in status quo. Will money solve this problem? So the first thing that we have to say is because the vast majority of the problems that they wanted to solve were access to things that money can buy. So classes for you to go to school, access to things that can make you better at your job, all these kinds of things that they will give women to do. However, it does not solve the underlying problem that a vast majority of women face. So things like insidious sexism in the workplace, whether or not you pick this woman over this man because you actually genuinely believe that the woman cannot do the job as well as that man, even though she has the credentials to it. Mistreatment at the workplace, so microaggressions by calling the women names and slapping the person in the ass because you think it's appropriate because you have the autonomy to do so. Things like sexual assault, things like this cannot be solved by money and cannot be fought for by money. But in their world, it becomes far worse and far more accessible for men to do it because men are forgiven because they are seen as the victims because they have to pay more tax than women. We think it's far worse and more damaging for two reasons. The first reason is that these kinds of problems that women face every day are more damaging than the problems that opening government wants to talk about. So things like being assaulted in the workplace, sexual assault is a traumatic experience that women go through, and we think that these experiences must be avoided at all costs. So the second thing is, it affects the vast majority of women compared to this other. So more women will be hurt under their side. Have a seat. The second thing is, will this give women the autonomy the opening government wanted to talk about? Because opening government very simply said that if women have more money, therefore they have access to wealth and capital to escape the shackles of sexism. This is untrue. So the women that opening government wanted to protect in this debate are women who come from conservative societies, and the vast majority of circumstances are still dependent on their very racist conservative father who is funding their education. In this instance, it is very difficult for this woman to escape the system because the father will just say, you know what, the amount of extra income that you get from the tax breaks that you get from the government just goes into the family because I paid for your education. I am the reason why you have access to all these benefits that you are having today. So we don't really think that a vast majority of women will have access to the benefits that opening government wanted to talk about. Rather, you just give it to the families that put them in those shackles. Not true and unlikely to work. The third question that I have in this debate is, will women be given access to open a lot of businesses that opening government to talk about? I also respond to closing governments. Here why. So, things do not get cheaper. If things get cheaper, then they will lose out because they don't get the income that you wanted them to accrue. So, in the world where things, products that they sell are equal to those businesses that are set up by men, they will gain more money. And that's the benefit the opening government wants to have. In that world, in a vast majority of individuals who are sexist will boycott your businesses because they feel that you are benefiting of a system that is unfair to the men in the community. So they won't buy your product because the products are of similar quality and similar price. They just go to men. So in your world, you may be able to open businesses, but you won't be able to access the wealth and benefits that you can accrue from having a business. Last, fourth question. If you say women work, so I don't understand opening government really. Because if you say women work in misogynist managerial jobs and a vast majority of them are working in these positions, I do not understand how a small increase in wealth will be able to help these women significantly. So for example, if a woman is working in a job every day and wants to access things, privileges given by Planned Parenthood, access abortion clinic, that would now be shut down as a result of sexism and hatred towards women, we don't see how this average woman will be able to access these kinds of privileges that most women want in status quo. So things like contraception, things like abortion, things like all these kinds of access and privileges that women deserve. So we don't think these individuals suddenly can afford private healthcare. Like, dude, private healthcare is really, really expensive. I don't understand how women suddenly, who were so poor and couldn't afford to escape the shackles of sexism, who deserve this money so much, suddenly will have the access to go to really expensive hospitals and get access for to go and get abortion in really expensive places. We don't understand how opening governments would work. Let's talk about the discourse that will happen, because the Deputy Prime Minister came up in the debate and made the assertion that a vast majority of the discourse that will happen now will be directed in a positive manner. I have two things to say to this. The first, have a seat. The Men's movement rhetoric will be further strengthened, right? So this is an argument that Amri talked about this debate that was not responded to by opening government. So the rhetoric that the Men's movement and a lot of sex people in status quo is giving is that the way the feminist movement operates in this world is not to bring about equality, but it's to punish males and make it harder for males to succeed in this world. In this, whether or not it is true that this policy does it, it makes it appear that men are victims as a result of this policy. So we don't think this model is actually out there. But the second problem with the discussion that will happen is that the presumption that sexism will be solved will be more prevalent. So a lot of individuals will feel that because money is given to women and women have more economic capital, they are more likely to agree that sexism is solved. We do not need to fight for other problems that exist within the system. So many other issues that women have to fight for that cannot be solved with money will just be ignored, because the vast majority of men have agreed that sexism is solved because we have given women more money. Before I move on, I'll say
so I agree that sexism cannot be solved as fast as you think it can. But how will they be able to even give money to lobby or pressure politicians if they don't already have some additional income to add to those pools that can actually fight for better legislation.
So you want poor women who have a small increment in income to also pay their own healthcare and then fight and lobby for other laws and policies for other women. So first of all, we don't think it's very feasible for an average woman to do these things. But second of all, we don't think that these women, even labor unions or these political parties that are supposed to help women, if they prop up, they will not be taken seriously, and here's why. Will labor unions be stronger? And this will respond to the PY even more. People support labor unions. So the reason why a lot of people are okay with labor unions and they want to fight for more rights is because they believe that a labor union will help the average tax-paying citizen of society. If that person does not do that, then the labor union becomes useless. Let's look at a few more responses that I have, right? Positive matter. So I think that opening government tried to get away with this, not responding to a vast majority of Ahmed's argumentation in this debate. So Ahmed also came out and told you how it becomes more forgivable for sexual assault to happen in the workplace because the person you report to will also deem the perpetrator as a victim as a result of this policy, and is less likely to take your report seriously. It's more forgivable for men to go and attack other women. I don't like the response. The only response that Daniel Mark had to Ahmed's arguments was that, you know what, why would shut down more policy? So we told you in this debate that as a result of sexism and overall hatred towards women because they're seen as taking money away from men, they are more likely to shut down departments that are specifically catered towards women. To which the response was, oh no, you know what, we will still do it anyway. We do things fair for you to fear, and we don't need to provide an alternative because whilst the abortion clinics that exist in our side are horrible, not funded very well, and most women do not get the best possible kind of service that they deserve, it is better than not having an abortion clinic at all under opening government's world because they shut down because men think that women are getting more than they deserve.
Oh yeah.
The leader of opposition and start closing out the debate and invites the member of government.
Ready, Vincent?
Totally.
Ready?
Oh, wait. Okay, is this guy ready? Okay, cool.
That's the problem of the discussion in the opening half. It is very centered, like in a timeline around 10 years. And no one was willing to discuss the long-term changes that one is able to achieve. One is the opening government's discussion, right? So I think the strongest thing coming from opening government is the principal justification. That if you pay taxes and you do not get the returns of your taxes, that's an unfair burden to put on women. Opposition still has not responded to their principles, hence cannot edge over them at the very least. So, but let us engage with the practical things that opening opposition brings to us, right? Firstly, they bring us backlash on two fronts. Number one, structural state backlash, and secondly, on the individual level. We will tell you, in my extension, why structural state level backlash is less likely to happen when women have more capital. What capital oftentimes leads to is the ability to shape politics in a more favorable condition. Yeah. Secondly, I think this is the thing that they keep dropping and they force you to accept it, that this is a small increment. Not noting that the model set up by the OG was of 50%. This is significantly more, right? So number one, if all your arguments on why women are held back is because of the wage gap, we have not only neutralized the wage gap, sit down, Andre, but we have given women on a relative scale in the household, right, significantly more money than their spouses, significantly more money than their fathers have ever earned. Why is this important? I'll bring in my exception how this changes dynamic within households when the women start earning on aggregate more money. I think the last line that Roshan threw in is that how would women do all these things? I think Roshan is uncomparative. We think we have to agree that women have severely different rights. That means oftentimes the poorest women now are just more likely to leave their homes because they have significantly more income. And an extra 500 ringgit means you can move out of your abusive husband's house and pay rent and probably live for a month. Those are sort of nuances that Roshan does not make. Comparatively, a upper middle class woman who earns 20,000 now could earn in the region of 30 to 40,000 because of the amount of tax returns that she would get, can now give all this money to a political donation. She is more likely to be viable in terms of politics, invited for fundraisers because she's a more viable candidate. That's the sort of things that it was unnuanced responses coming from the opening of this. What is this general debate assumption that she makes, right? Because of the anger and like vitriol towards women, we will just blindly shut down departments that are full of women. No, on a logical basis, right? Departments that get shut down are oftentimes those that are productive for particular operations or ones that are not profitable, right? So department, even though made up of full of women, if as long as they remain profitable, oftentimes will stay afloat, right? Like this vitriol argument only happens in the debate world, hence does not work. Few extensions. Firstly, why companies are likely to hire women, right? So this is the argument coming from the opening opposition that women would have like some level of like casual sexism or microaggression when competing. This is the unique extension we give you. If on aggregate, if you and your male counterpart earning the same salary go for the same like sort of promotion, oftentimes the male will be preferred in the status quo area itself. You do nothing to change that. But the thing that we are able to change is the amount of money that you get. You're able to subscribe for more vocational classes. I mean, if you think that you needed to improve your interviewing skills, you can pay for that. If there are diplomas being given for your particular job, you would get for that. Now it becomes harder to discriminate against you because you have gotten credentials that are significantly better than your male counterpart. This happens on a spectrum, right? So obviously not all the time women will get selected extra. But if we can give you something structural that you can prove why you are a more viable and more likely candidate in comparison to your male opposition, that gives you a stronger. And the only way you're able to achieve that is you have aggregate savings more than your male counterpart to be able to pay for the sort of classes and pay for vocational studies and diplomas and degrees that you are now opt in for. Second exception, why states are more likely to tender in our paradigm? Before we move on, yes.
So women have slightly increased money to be able to. This amount is compared to the increase in opposition that men will bring as a result of women being less contributing to society. Can you tell me why politicians will give a shit about non-lobby power?
Very good. All right. So now the average woman in the Forbes 100 is nowhere, right? Because she has not the insufficient amount of money. Two important arguments that you disregarded, right? Firstly, when women oftentimes have more money in terms of savings, they're more likely to open up their businesses more. This is called the snowball effect in general economics, right? It means if you have more savings, you have more like leftover income to spread your business faster. This means the growth of your businesses or the growth of your personal amount of income grows over time with money, right? That's how men have been able to oppress women for a very long time. We just continuously grab money through the money that we already had as existing capital. If we turn the tables now and give women the extra advantages, like comparatively, right, on an individual one-to-one level, if women get more money, they are more likely to expand their businesses faster. If they have more money, they are more able to give better discounts. If they have more money, they can hire better individuals to market their product better. These are competitive advantages that you give women within the workforce. But what does this also mean, right? When now women are more economic actors and they generally have more savings, right, they become a better political bloc. Why so? Because oftentimes the optics of politics happens through donations, right? And all politicians require money for their campaigning. If women now can give hundreds or thousands of dollars more than before, politicians are more likely to hand it to them because they need their votes and they need women already have one thing in their favor, right? Women already have the numbers because of general biology says that women are more than men, right? But now you give them also more money than the average male, right? This makes them a more viable candidate for most politicians to pander to because of the sort of returns they're able to get. Secondly, how we change things at the grassroots level, right? This is something that Bobo never contested with. Right now, the average conservative male father that Roshan talks about is more likely to send his daughter to school. Why so? Age 6, right? Sit down, right? Why is he more likely to do so? Because, like you say, his optics is he needs money back for his house, right? So, on a comparative, if I send my son to an engineering school and he earns 2,000, but if I can send my daughter to the same engineering school if she's interested and she can now earn 2,500, that is more money for me to capture, right? This changes things on the grassroots level. It means oftentimes more conservative fathers are more likely to send their daughters to education because it's no longer sunk cost and it's viewed as a viable economic alternative. But comparatively, let's talk about the sexual assault and microaggression. Why does this happen? Two things, right? Because oftentimes women are being in lower positions. We solve the problem by making them more credible candidates. But secondly, there aren't many women in the working field to begin with, right? Because most conservative individuals don't send their daughters to education. I think that more women actually belong in the working field, and we've invited more individuals to send their daughters to school. That means that on a program, not tomorrow, everything will be solved, right? But over 30 to 40 years time, when there are more women in classrooms, which means more women in the workforce, there is less sexual microaggression, there's less sexual assault because women will oftentimes protect each other, and oftentimes the women can also access higher positions of power because they're able to get the credentials. For all those reasons, not to propose.
Okay, thank you, Member of Government. Now I'd like to invite the Member of Opposition.
Here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we tell you what was said from the opposing side is truly a false statement. With the motion discussed believe that women should be taxed less than men, we from the side of decision to need to give with the motion. So what will I do today? Today I will be doing two components, which is firstly I rebut whatever case they will brought up that was brought up from side of opposition, side of government, and then I will provide my arguments. So member of closing government said that that these women will can get a diploma. We say that is an assumption because it is not confirmed that these women can get a diploma, and we believe that this diploma take a long time to be achieved. Secondly, moving on to my arguments. My arguments for today is under the key phase of equality. We believe that when we do not lessen the tax of these women, we believe that society will gain equality among society will be achieved. Why you say that is because firstly, this side government would say that man is stronger than woman. We say that is false because we believe that these women also contribute to the country. Secondly, we say that these if we would lessen this tax of these women, we say that it brings no benefit because these women and men need to buy the same things that they need in their daily life. And the first speaker from the Prime Minister said that women are unable to pay hospital bills. It is a contradiction because these hospital bills we need to pay these hospital bills with tax. So we believe that if we lessen the tax of these women, we say that these women will not are unable to pay their hospital bills. So from side of government, they said that they would allow this motion to continue, which is they would lessen the tax of these women. But on the other side, the Prime Minister said that these women are unable to pay hospital bills. So further, I'll continue.
Okay. When a wife makes more money and it adds on to the family, the collective fund of the family, why would the husband in that family react badly to the additional money the family gets? Sure. If there is more money in the family, why would the husband in the family, according to the opposition line, react badly to this additional fund?
We say that not only these women family, but we also say that we also have the father of the family. So so if we would lessen the tax of these women, we say that their husband also can contribute to the family at the same time. So whatever I stated in my speech today, I rebut everything that was brought from side of government, and I've provided my new cases from side of opposition, and then I'm brought proposal.
Right. Thank you. Member of opposition, I'd like to invite the government with.
side OO made in this debate, and to some extent even CEO, is that they're making the comparison that what the oppression you're going to get right now does not equate to the benefits you're going to get immediately. This is where closing government came into this debate. We told you that over time, the aggregate savings you can make will be a significant portion that will be able to go into options for you, right? Either to pay more things to improve yourself, or go into political change to create and garner changes. So the comparison in this debate, which really should be the one, and this is something we only see she's bringing into this debate, is a comparison of the world you have today and where on the opposition bench it doesn't change as you go on in a few years, comparison to the change that we can bring at the point in which we start to accumulate these forms of wealth and start to act upon it. So the basic principle which we're trying to throw to you, and this is something which Richard pointed out very clearly, right, is that this is not a little bit of money, right? It's 50% of your income. It's areas where you can reimburse into areas like GST and the things you naturally consume on a day-to-day basis. So even if it's not much today, we think as you go on month to month and by the end of the year, we think it's a lot of money which you can put into different areas. So this brings up two questions, which brings better capital area for change, which essentially is the best option for women and to run through a shopping list of benefits. That's what the House wanted to talk to you and say that, look, what's going to happen is that you're not going to give any some form of political change, and these women are seen as worthless. We can see that to some extent there will be backlash, right? We'll be stupid if we say it's not going to happen. But here's what's more likely to happen. At the point in which you have the source of money, you can essentially improve yourself and get some form of better access to jobs and improve the amount of money you can already have, right? We think to some extent companies are willing to essentially pay you for if you're more money if you're clearly the better individual, right? Because they also get a benefit if they promote credible individuals up there, not all racist and bigoted, right? We think the point you then have to make here is this. Over time, even if that's less likely to be true, you cannot deny the fact that on aggregate you have more money. The point in which is that if you have more of this money, you can start putting this into political campaigns. You can start putting this into lobbying in areas for politicians. You start funding individuals who mean the most to you. Because recognize, right, the problem with status quo, something which will always exist on that side of the house, is that there will be less and less a disposable income to fund political campaigns for people who champion women's rights. So the forms of political, if on your side, right, that these individuals don't have any forms of traction in the political sphere, they're less likely to have any forms of traction to begin with. Over time, we think we can essentially bring this form of change. Why is this essentially benefit, right? So essentially that side of the house says, you will probably shut down these forms of clinics as well. We don't think this is probably going to be true, or even if it is, it's not going to be true in the long run. Why? Even if you're going to shut this down in the short run, we think the bare minimum which can provide these individuals is the access income to weather the storm and to opt into other forms of benefits, or even using like private healthcare in areas which you essentially need to. The long term here is that when you have the political traction of to fund these individuals and get more individuals up into power and disposably come in places of like political traction, you have more support for these individuals to go and to parliament and lobby for these forms of changes, which essentially exist, right? The problem we always fail to recognize is that if under your side of the house, if you have lack of women in and having political representation in parliament as a whole, even if you have some individual who wants to be bigoted and go against or shutting down randomly because of a budget cut which comes out due to drop in oil prices, you have no forms of individuals who essentially make those forms of discussion and change it, right? Sit down. So we think on the bare minimum, right? We think that having these individuals in doesn't just help like opening up more clinics, it also helps individuals in areas where you can't predict, right, in the future, where you have like a voice for these women in this in the first place. We think this benefits even much further because they talk to you, what about the feminist movement and stuff, right? Like they seem as punishing men. We think to some extent, like obviously bigoted men will think this is true, right? Where's the point here, right? At the point in which you have more individuals who are now in power, to the point in which you have more individuals right now who are willing to step out and speak up because they have the disposable income, so they can be like they can send their like children to the daycare, they can take a day off and not have to worry about it. This is the point in which you have more traction where women are now starting to participate in this forms of discourse. So on your side of the house, it will naturally be skewed by the very virtue of numbers, right? On our side, that discourse is better because the more participation of this individuals, the more skilled those individuals get, they can contribute to that discourse far better, and we think it changes the dynamic where you have an equal representation and voice. Sure. So assuming I want to give you a best case scenario where this woman can get a degree, can fund politics, can get private education. This woman is fucking superwoman. Okay. In that world where money is dependent on the structures around you, can you tell me how those structures are going to be kind to accommodate the use of the money that you say is important to achieve all these? Even if those structures are not kind, here's where I started in my speech. the increase in accumulation of wealth means you can have more options. So if you like, for example, you need to spend a little, like if like you don't have healthcare, you can start to spend a little bit more healthcare. We think that to some extent you will still be able to aggregate over accumulated for 5 years and still get some more money. This means you can still go to funding politicians, you can still go to funding individuals to come forward and let's speak where in status quo, less likely be any, right? We think that men will always try to oppress these individuals, right? But it's progressively harder to oppress these individuals when you're starting to increase in numbers and having a vocal voice that you can't shut down. Where the shopping list of benefits that come, which is something Mission told you, I'm just going to recap, right? One, we're going to probably get more resources. We think to some extent it will be hard in the short run, but in the long run, we think that you can gain more political traction and you can gain more support from not just individuals, but like more women now will be willing to self-fund NGOs or even start up NGOs because they know they have more disposable income to do so. Those individuals can help, right? Those individuals can prevent the shutting down of women's studies in universities, which will under your side can still happen, but you have nothing to go against it because you don't have politicians who are willing to step out against it. No, right? The next thing that you say, but you'll have less traction in terms of men. We think this is a bullshit argument, right? Because like people who are willing to support you are willing to support you regardless, right? Because these individuals understand to some extent there is an issue and understand the need for this, right? We think where this essentially happens is benefit is things like in corporate ladder, right? That's how the house is microaggression or like will happen to these women. Fine, but here's the problem with status quo and something will exist under your side. There's less women under the status quo, which means these women feel like even if they call out and say anything, they're still dominated in man misogynic world, they won't get any forms of change. But the point is that more women coming into this world because we told you that they can improve their job, they told you they can like empowered by political change, they now know that if there is any form of microaggression can happen, they can voice out and there'll be more like repercussions for these individuals. You said that labor unions won't come in to help you. It's coming to help you. Why wouldn't it be increase of participation when we already told you right now there'll be more women in those corporate ladders and corporate positions? At the point in which labor union benefit the majority or like a bad portion of individuals who make up the demographic in the corporation, and women are starting to increase in those sorts of positions, we think labor unions have to respond to those kind of things, have to listen to you because you're a healthy portion of those corporations, and you're now be like responsible for protecting you. We think the bad benefit which we get is this, right? Accumulation of wealth, you have more options, and that is what the opening up can provide.
Okay, thank you, Government Whip. Now I'd like to invite the opposition whip. Is that not inside? Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, throughout this whole debate, the government side never clarified how does their side provide a better world. Their side never touched on my member how it provides equality. So within my speech today, I'm going to rebut all of the cases that has been brought up on the government side. But before that, I'm going to clarify what my member said. My member told you about equality. How does on our side we are giving more equality to them? Before that, men are going to think of women. Oh, why does women get? Why does women have to pay less tax than men? So this will bring a discourse that the men will actually say why would women get less tax than us? We're still the same. We're still the human. So
Speaker.
Yes.
So in status quo, we have relative inequality of wealth. Where you see women boycotting men products or burning down things.
Still, these women are still but these women are still going to be degraded because these men are going to think if women needs less tax, then they are cheaper than us. That's what your side is going to produce in the minds of the society. So moving on, under the key phrase of equality, on their sides, all of their cases never provide equality within society because on their side they're going to give women less tax than men. So the men will be more. Yes.
In the status quo, true or false, there is a natural incentive for men to oppress women because that keeps men in positions of power which is beneficial to men.
I'm sorry?
Is it true or false? Men like oppressing women because oppressing them gives us benefit, and in your world, that doesn't change. True or false?
Yes. Skip. So moving on to my comparison, let's compare both worlds. How does opposition side give benefits more than government side? As I told you in my battles, we are giving more equality than them. So the government side is actually degrading the women. These women are actually getting laughed by the men because the men think, oh, I'm better than you because you're cheaper than all of us. And before I
Okay, so you say you want to have equality in your world.
Yes.
Where will that equality come when women are constantly locked out from any ability to be able to legislation that brings them closer to equality?
That's easy because because we need to think about the men. Men have the perception of the woman, are going to be, say that the woman needs to pay less tax, then the woman is, as I already told you, will be downgraded. And with that, I end my speech.
Right, thank you. Right, these are class 4, shake hands. Group. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Oh, I love my little boy.